Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about a 1948 movie that came into the Criterion collection in 2018, and this is Moonrise. This is a film directed by Frank Borzage. It stars Dane Clark, Gail Russell. Clark on the cover, that's Dane Clark on the cover. He plays a man who is haunted by the deeds of his father, who had been a murderer, convicted of murder, executed by hanging. And Clark's character in this movie is full of despair over his own nature. Am I cursed? Is it in my blood? Murder in my blood? Am I stained by my father's crimes? As a young boy growing up, he is bullied, harassed by the other boys in the town that he grows up in. They constantly taunt him for being the son of a father who has been hanged. The production history of this film, of Moonrise, is that it had a previous incarnation, John Garfield, William Wellman associated with it. That deal fell through. It came to Republic Pictures. Republic was a low-budget Western studio owned by Herbert Yates, but he wanted to branch out, have at least one prestige movie a year. He signed Borzage to a three-year deal, three-movie deal. The first two were very expensive, and they didn't make their money back, and Borzage was unhappy anyways that Republic. He wanted to get out, so he agreed to direct this film, even though it was considered sort of a film noir, a psychological crime story. This was not Borzage's preference, and when he had been at Warner Brothers in the early 30s, he never, in the heyday of the gangster film at Warner Brothers, he refused to make a gangster film. He thought that, and in film, and one of the reasons he leaves Hollywood and he retires after Moonrise is that he just didn't understand the appeal to audiences that film noir had. But Moonrise has all the trappings of a film noir. Borzage was an expressionist. He pulls out all the stops in his expressionism. So we have this high contrast black and white film style that's very much looks like it should be a film noir, and the storyline seems like it's a film noir. But Borzage kind of sabotages that because he doesn't believe in that. He believes that fatalism, the fatalism of film noir, where you are sort of doomed by your karma, by your fate. He believes that's an obsession. It's not a reality. That people are capable of being good. They have the capacity. No one is fated to be a bad person. And but Dane Clark is sort of, as an outsider, he has a father figure. This is played by the great black actor Rex Ingram. And Ingram has himself sort of become an outsider. He lives in a shack by the outskirts of the edges of a swamp. He has a lot of dogs. He employs dogs as for hunters, but he warns Dane Clark when Clark says, "I'm doomed. My father, his sins, or the sins of the father, are going to be manifested in me as well." And Rex Ingram says to him that you can't resign from the human race because that's about the worst crime there is. And that's really sort of Borzage's testament that that we don't live in a hell, even if it seems like we live in a hell. There's a capacity of transformation, and mostly through love. And Dane Clark loves the local school teacher, played by Gail Russell. Russell was a contract player with Republic Pictures, and every time you see Gail Russell, you can't help but be reminded that in her mid-30s she would die from her alcoholism. and I did a video on The Uninvited a couple weeks ago, in which she seems rather tentative, and of course that fits the part that she was playing in The Uninvited. So it's really, you really get an idea of what Gail Russell's talents are in Moonrise, because whether it's Borzagi's sensitive direction of her, the part she's playing, she's just dynamite in this movie, and just totally luminous, not so much as a savior, but as a means to towards this kind of transformation of possibility of transformation for the Dane Clark character, who believes he's on the fast track to hell. So Borzage had a very small budget to work with. Dane Clark was relatively unknown, maybe his second significant role. Gail Russell was part of she was under contract to Republic Pictures. They filmed, it's mostly an outdoor, set in outdoors, but it's all filmed on 2 sets, and it's really remarkable when you read some of the supplements to the film, how creative Borzage and set designers had to be working on it with a very small budget. So you get a sense of claustrophobia in the movie, and that's deliberate. You get a sense that the sets they don't look, we're outdoors, we're out of swamp, it's obviously we're not outdoors. But that artificiality, I think, that artificiality plays into the vision that Borzage had for this film, and he pulls out all the stops. I mean, stylistically, this is a really intense and very creative. It was not a hit movie. The critics felt that Borzage had just, he was using all these tired old cliches from silent film. An accusation made a few years later to Charles Laughton in The Night of the Hunter, that he was so influenced by expressionism, German expressionism. Borzage very much influenced by F.W. Murnau. But I think it all lends itself very well to the atmosphere of the film. And, so this is a drama that's less about fatalism as it is about a drama of regeneration. And this is where Borzage's talents, his interests really lie. He didn't particularly care for the film. That kind of psychological crime film was not his cup of tea. He was not a Freudian. He was not a fatalist. He believed, though, that people had to go through trials and tribulations, but they all had a point. They all had a point in which that would make you a better human being. He believed in the goodness in people, and the audiences in 1948, 1949, this was the high point of film noir. And film noir, obviously, I would think, in the minds of audiences that had many of whom had lived through 2 world wars where hundreds of thousands of people died, the Holocaust, that there was something wrong in human nature, that perhaps we were cursed. There's not much in the way of supplements on this, and this was the first Borzage movie to come into the Criterion collection. Now, recently, History is Made at Night has come into the collection, and that had quite a few extras. This has only one extra, one supplement. It's a conversation between Hervé Dumont, a biographer of Borzage, who I mentioned in previous videos that I've done on Borzage movies, and Peter Cowie. But it's only about 20 minutes long. It should have been much longer. I often wonder how Criterion determines if they're going to give you much extras or not. It also includes a booklet, and I like the film art in this. I think this is very, very good. And not a booklet, it's a fold-out, and it includes an image from the beginning of the film on one side of which is a young boy kind of being tossed into the maelstrom and the whirlpool, and an image of his father, the silhouette image of his father. This is from the opening of the movie. does give you kind of a sense of the kind of expressionism that Borzage uses in this film. And it also includes an essay on the other side, and luckily it's black on white, so it's easy for me to read. Dark of the Moon, it's called, by Philip Kemp, and this is an outstanding, really outstanding essay, and it goes deep into the production history and of the film, and also many of Borzage's trademark style and how he used that in Moonrise. And this is the book that I've been consulting, and some of the information that I'm imparting comes out of this book by Hervé Dumont, who is one of the interviews on the supplements, his great book on Frank Borzage. And it's a treat to, I read the book, and then as I go through the movies, I go back and reread the sections on the various specific movies, and it's really it's really illuminating, and it's like taking a film course with Hervé Dumont, who is an expert on Frank Borzage, and really the world's, maybe perhaps the only expert on Borzage in the world as far as film history goes. I don't know, but there's one other reason why this movie, despite the lack of extras, is worth getting. Is I thought the transfer was absolutely stupendous. I mean, it was just amazing. It was a 4K restoration. Of course, I have untutored eyes. Somebody, I mean, perhaps the bit rate or the compression rate, or I don't know, the blacks aren't inky enough. I don't know. It looked stupendous to me. So that's Moonrise, 1948 movie from Frank Borzage. I only have one more Borzage Blu-ray to discuss, and that's being that is being released today by Kino Lorber. It's called Desire, a film he made at Paramount when I think Ernst Lubitsch was the producer of that film, and stars Marlene Dietrich. And so it's being released August 10th, 2021, when I'm releasing this particular video. I don't have it yet. I got to go through my stack of to be watched before I'm going to outlay any more cash for Blu-rays, because I've overspent in the recent sales. But I will get to it eventually. Okay, thanks a lot. As always, I appreciate everybody who stuck with me. If you have any comments on this film, this Criterion release, it'd be more than welcome. I'll respond back. Other than that, you guys take care, and I will catch you next time.